if you want, I can send you a picture of Noodle if you want to put Noodle instead of me. But that's entirely up to you.
Where's your cat?
Who's
Do you want me to?
Yeah, bring your cat
I'll
in the
have to
picture.
give me 1 sec. I've had to pick her up on the blanket because she was asleep. There you go. Can't look at the camera, Noodle. There you go. There's a cat. She's not a happy cat.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Third Wheel. I'm one of your hosts, Hamish.
And I'm the other host, Aaron.
And today we're joined by a comp sci friend that we met in the 4th year, or the Masters. His name is Marcus. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Marcus. And I met Hamish and Aaron in 4th year comp sci.
Hey. You remember how you met in 4th year? Or is that...
I think you were just sat in your usual computing spot, and if I vaguely remember, you asked me for help or I asked you for help once, and then that was it from that point on.
Maybe it was just like we were speaking out loud, and then we found out we were doing something the same thing. I try not to ask for people for help, especially I don't.
Yeah, if anything, it was probably more me just talking to someone next to me, and you overheard, and you were like, "Oh, they're doing the same assignment we're doing."
Oh, Hamish being nosy, yeah.
Yeah, Hamish being nosy.
Mate, I would have had music in. I don't know how I'm getting
dragged. I genuinely, because I would say that we talked a little bit, but I would say we didn't become proper acquaintances until we sat together and watched the KSI Logan Paul fight.
Oh yeah,
because we did that together.
Was I there?
I don't know if you were there. It would have been in the. I think Katie may have been there. But basically, when the fights was happening, the boxing fights, yeah, I just had it on the DCS computer because I paid for the the pay-per-view event, the £6 or whatever it was. And I was just watching it, and obviously, since I was watching it in DCS, everyone else was like, "Oh shit, let me watch it as well." There was no audio for them.
I thought you watched that at my place, Hamish.
No, that was Joella.
Ah, okay, yeah.
I think we watched the Football World Cup as well in DCS.
Yes, I think we probably did.
I remember watching the royal wedding there as well. You know, so many events.
It was a lot, yeah.
You know, one of the like things that I think we may have become like proper friends was because you had the common mindset of starting super early on all that thing.
Yeah,
I think I don't know if you did the same thing as me where you picked 5 modules in term 1 because you knew what was coming in the other terms. So I did 75 credits in term 1.
I think I vaguely did. I don't know if I did it on purpose though. There's a good chance I may have just done it on accident.
We were just doing a cluster fight. So we had 180 credits because we were doing Masters of Comp Sci. For people who don't know. And we did 75 credits of that module in term 1, provided we execute it properly.
Yeah.
And I think we did.
Well, yeah. I think it was more the fact as well when we came to do revision, I just had this thing where I would always try and wake up at 8. Then I would walk to DCS via Greg's, pick up a Greg's hot chocolate and sausage sandwich on the way. And then I would arrive probably around 9. And Hamish was either there or about to show up. Yeah. And we were like the only 2 people sometimes.
Especially on Sundays, because on Sundays, like, no one would come in until 11. I was going to say it was the agent-based systems coursework where we had our bidding robots here.
And we tried super hard with that.
We created nearly like every like bot in the example that he had given. We had even our own versions of bots, and then sometimes we just got baffled because we got beat by a default bot, so like
it was more the fact that we came up with really complicated systems of the bots trying to bid, and then Sam came along, another computer science person, and he just made it so that the bot bid I think 20% more than the asking price, and it won. And it beat our really complicated bots, and I was really annoyed by it. And that's what he submitted.
Yeah, the thing as well, I remember, we had, we dragged in that whiteboard, and then we made like a table of all these bots. So half of them were our bots, and then we had some people, because people obviously would have wanted our code to test against, but we were like, nah, because we've done this from earlier. You started like last week, If you want to join, send the code over to Marcus's computer or mine.
Yeah.
We'll put you in the arena. If your bot survives, you'll see the statistics here.
Yeah.
If not, then you can fuck off because we're not giving out our code after we spent weeks trying to do this.
Yeah, we did. It was actually really interesting because we did have it was quite a big table because we had Chris, who was another computer, and then we had random people coming in. And I think a few people got annoyed with the fact that they put their bots in and they came out quite low. Yeah, and they were just like, well then.
My favorite part was, I think, the last one. If you win the bid, you pay the second highest price. And the flipping maximum bid bot, so the bot that bid all of its budget every single round, just kept doing so well. And me and you were just like, all right, we need to rejig a few things.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was like one of my most fun memories of that.
The exam was awful though. But
yeah.
Did I tell you, speaking of agent-based systems, did I tell you about what Paolo, the lecturer, did after the exam?
No.
So I was obviously revising for one of the exams afterwards because that wasn't our last one. And I was sat there revising. Paolo, the lecturer, comes in and he's just like, "Oh, Marcus, what did you get in the coursework?" And I was like, "Oh, I got like 96%," because obviously me and Hamish were super tryhards. I was like, "I got 96%," and he was like, he did some maths and he said, he's like, "Right, okay, you've passed." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Well, you didn't do that well in the exam, but you still should get like just a first on the exam." Like, and that means I got like 50 something in the exam, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at the end of that exam. We were just sat there like, actually one of the previous episodes we spoke about where you mix and match questions. Yeah, so those are the worst exams where they combine topics in one question.
Yeah.
Instead of doing one topic per question. That was one of those exams, and it was a ropey one. I won't lie.
I liked Paolo. I think he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he was like concerned that I wouldn't get a first in his module, like he genuinely seemed concerned. So
yeah, and his name's Paolo, which just means it's cool. Anyway,
he always is good in Fantasy Premier League as well, and like he's usually a really good person in Fantasy Premier League.
Well, surely he has bots to do it for him.
That's why I thought like he has some predictor sitting on the side.
Oh man. Also, I realized that your name is like Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood, like together.
Yeah.
Which kind of like.
The funny thing is, right, so you joke about this, but when I'm in playing games online,
yeah,
because my gamer tag has Greenwood in it, and they genuinely like joke about the footballer, and I was just like, what?
What are these like people that think you're?
No, well, they jokingly say it. Like literally one game, it was just after Man United were playing, and the guy was like, "Oh, you got back from Old Trafford quick," and I was like, "Like, do you think you're being funny?"
No, genuinely, yeah. Like the other week, I was thinking, wait, is it Mason Greenwood or Marcus Greenwood? It could have been like, as in like the actual football. I'm like, maybe it is Marcus Greenwood, and like he's got the same name. That would be so sick.
Nah, I've just got two footballers' names merged together.
Yeah, but it's like funny how it's like two like quite similar players, the same club, same nationality, and everything.
Also, I was gonna say one more thing before from uni memories. Marcus like also joined in on the plan because he also had a car, so he made our trips a lot more convenient. So me and Baxter used to do McDonald's Sundays to put up with uni. He just joined in, and then he was just part of the McDonald's Sunday.
Oh yeah,
for the remaining weeks, of however long that was.
The second you found out I had a car, that's probably when we became actual friends.
No, because we didn't always ask. Like we would still Uber it like here and there.
Yeah.
Like.
I remember you Ubering in it. I was just like, why would you do that? Because this was before they did Uber Eats.
He had peas.
No, Baxo didn't want to walk here, so we had to split the flipping Uber fare. Which was the lead of a good argument. He was convinced he won until everyone finally voted against him and proved me right. Yeah. And I was like, there you go, guys. Thank you.
Do you remember when we were doing databases coursework? I think it was on a deadline, and then we went to get takeaway from KFC, McDonald's, or whatever.
The time where I pranked Baxo.
Yeah. I forgot where it was exactly.
I know what happened. Okay, so we went to McDonald's. Obviously, we said that it may not be open for some reason. It was like a bank holiday or something. And
Baxo stayed in DCS.
Yeah.
In this scenario.
But there was KFC. People wanted to go between KFC and, McDonald's. So what we did was, obviously I went McDonald's. I've got me and him the McDonald's that we're going to get. Someone else went KFC. Then we all regrouped at the car. We all sat down. But when we were on the way and we're just arriving in the car park to DCS, I called Baxo like, yo, Baxo, McDonald's was closed. So I knew that he doesn't like KFC. And I knew every single way to break it down. So I did so I just got you the chicken poppers from KFC, yeah. So this was part one, yeah. And he's like, what? Like you could hear it, like I think in the back, yeah, you could hear it on the phone, yeah. I was just like, yeah, like because obviously you wanted chicken nuggets, so I just got the chicken poppers, the equivalent, yeah. And he was like, bro, why did you do that? He was starting to get more and more annoyed. I'm like, yeah, I also got you Pepsi instead of Coke because they don't have Coke. And then and I think that was the last straw. So in the 2-minute walk back to the computer, DCS is Department of Computer Science for those who don't know. In the 2-minute walk back from the car park to DCS, you can see through the window, Baxo's there on the phone, yeah, all red, yeah, like he's proper fuming. Yeah, he's in the phone to his girlfriend, yeah, so he's walking and he's complaining to his girlfriend about it. And I'm like dying there as I walk in, yeah, because I told these guys to go in first with the KFC, yeah, and so they went in first. So Baxo actually thought I had KFC, and then I put the McDonald's back. He didn't realize for a few seconds, and he's still mad at me. He's like, why would you get me a KFC? When I told him, like, looked at the bag, bro. Then he smiled, he laughed. He was like, bro, that prank. I'll never forget the look on his face.
Do you know those stories that you think are really funny and then you retell them and it's like, okay,
We're gonna edit it up and add sound effects so it sounds funny.
Yeah. I know Baxo, so I know that. Yeah, it would be funny.
No, it was more funny that he called his girlfriend to tell.
Yeah.
I didn't know Baxo had a girlfriend, to be honest.
Yeah, big up Baxo.
Yeah.
Put some respect on my boy's name.
Yeah.
If you rewind back a bit, I don't think this is on the plan actually, but like, what did you do before Warwick?
So I, born in Burnley, was raised in Burnley, did high school and college. Nothing really particularly interesting. But yeah, probably the most interesting thing about me before university was that I took part in a robot building competition. So sort of like a more educational Robot Wars.
Okay.
So there's actually a video on YouTube of our team doing it. We got to the finals, actually.
He showed me this video.
Yeah, I showed. It's one of my like proudest moments.
What can people like? What do we search if you want to find?
If you search for International Robot Competition, like 2014 final or something, it will appear as basically what it is just sort of like the most. If you were to try to imagine the most slapped together robots, it's like plywood and like sheets of metal and like a bit of circuitry on there, and all they're doing is they're picking up like a cardboard box, rotating them around and moving them, and one of the funniest stories in that happened in that competition because we just couldn't believe we were doing so well. We got really lucky. But one of the favourites to win were this German team that had custom built circuit boards. So everyone was given standard motor boards and an Arduino and a Beagle board because it had a display on it. And the German team decided that didn't have enough power. So they custom made new motor boards to run their more powerful motors. Now, which meant that their robot was faster. Now, during the quarterfinals, so we were really happy that we got into the quarterfinal. Their robot decided to come into our area, and our robot was a big chunky boy that was just really thick plywood. Like it was just a sheet of plywood with everything strapped onto it. And they basically both just ran into each other. And our one didn't take a single hit, and it was fine. Their robot broke an axle. So it just started spinning in a circle. And they got really mad because they got kicked out and we survived because our robot was able to finish doing the task. And I've never had a group of angry German college students ever shout at me like they did. Because like they were just furious because they were trying to like show that was like it wasn't fair, if that made sense. But like it was a head-on collision. It's not like our robot maliciously drove into them, but anyway.
AJ-based systems even before Warwick.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I had a pretty boring life in Birmingham.
So what uni did you go to before Warwick?
I was still at Warwick. So I did 3 years at Warwick. Doing 3 years at Warwick, doing maths.
Okay. I feel like I knew that and I've just blanked.
Yeah, I was like, I swear you knew that.
Yeah. So why did you, I don't know if Hamish mentioned it beforehand because he didn't want to ask it, but like the maths to comp sci switch.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a semi-long story, which I suppose is good for the podcast. But as like Hamish says, it's useful to sometimes play the system and sometimes put 5 modules in first term and 3 modules in second, trying to make the quota. So then it's obviously easier to do revision. Now, what happened with me was I was planning on doing 4 years, so an integrated master's for mathematics. And in second year, they say that if you don't get above 65%, you can't carry on to this. So you'll be knocked down to doing the 3 years. I got 64%. So I got put in a special category of people that said they instead of kicking me down or letting me continue, they sent me an email and they asked, you got 64%, you're on the border. Do you think you can continue? And I was like, I think I can. I just had one bad exam, I think. I can't remember what exam it was because it was so long ago. But I think I just had one bad exam that just brought me down. So I was like, right, okay, I'll continue. And then in third year, obviously all the people that were just doing 3 years maths played the system. And they took really nice modules that weren't that difficult. When I say nice modules, it was funnily enough the ones that required more coursework than exams. So a few of the mathematicians did computer science-based ones, but there was other ones like stats-based ones and stuff like that. And as long as you did, I love physics ones as well. They were known to be reasonably nice compared to some of the maths ones that I did. But yeah, so the maths So as long as you had like 90 maths credits, you could get your degree. That was fine. But obviously, I had to do a different thing because I was planning on doing a 4th year. I had to try and pick modules that would allow me to do modules in 4th year because you need to have it's like prerequisites. So I needed to pick. So say there was one called differential equations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that required something called manifolds. So we took manifolds. Manifolds, I got, I think it was 30% in the exam because it was an absolute awful exam and it was an absolute awfully taught module, to be honest.
Shots.
It's some lectures are good and some lectures are bad, and I don't think this lecturer felt like it to my teaching. Well, I needed a certain teaching style and he didn't deliver, so it's a different thing. Now that was all fine, but there was also a few other ones as well, and it basically ended up with me actually getting. I think I got about 52% just in my 3rd year, and they had another barrier where if you didn't get above, I can't remember. I think it was if you didn't get above 60% in your 3rd year, you couldn't. And I got 58% overall. So they were just like, oh, we can't let you on. And they told me this during like when I was getting my exam results. So I walked into my thing and my supervisor was like, oh, I've got bad news. I'm sorry, but you haven't done well enough this year. So you're going to have to graduate after 3 years. And it was like graduation was in like 3 weeks as well. So we had to like, so everyone had already booked all their things. So we actually it was me and another person called Sam actually had this problem. We had to do like fast pass everything. So we got like given special instructions because there's like a specific specific protocol for this sort of thing to happen. So we had to do all this and we filled it all out and we got out. I remember calling my parents and I was jokingly saying, oh, you better have July the whatever off because I'm graduating. My mum was like, what? Because I obviously wanted to break the bad news to them, but I didn't want to just like try to make it funny. But anyway, yeah, so that was like a really sort of dark time for me because I didn't know what I was going to do because I was planning on doing 4 years and I'd been kicked down to 3. And funnily enough, the week earlier than that, a man called Alex Ingram, who I believe has been on this podcast before.
Shout out Alex.
My guy.
Yeah, shout out Alex. Had mentioned, and I can't remember why, but he had mentioned that you actually only needed a 2-2 in mathematics at Warwick to do a master's in computer science at Warwick.
Exactly, that was me.
Yeah, so that was what they've actually bumped up the requirements last year to a 2-1. But that was what you needed, and it quickly just like flashed in my mind. I was like, well, I obviously did a bit of computer science at Warwick in the sort of maths one. I actually did a bit of sort of programming with Python when it came to doing the robot stuff, and I really enjoyed it all. So I was like, well, how hard can computer science be? And I obviously applied, and I was emailing Adam Chester to make sure like everything was going to, Adam Chester being the head of postgraduate studies at Warwick for computer science. Obviously, it all went through and it all did it. And obviously, I did the year, and that's how I met Hamish, and obviously you, Aaron, because you showed up occasionally as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, my requirements were 2-1 from comp sci, but I think they let me in because I was a previous comp sci student, and I wrote, those 4,000 characters, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know what I wrote in it, but it must have been enough to let them just let me back.
Yeah, I think Adam Chester, when I emailed him asking, is it too late to apply? He said, oh, just send me over your transcript. I sent it over, and he said, yeah, if you just put anything, we'll let you in, which is quite nice. I think he said it in a few more words that didn't seem like as risky, but
yeah.
I think I wrote 3 sentences exactly.
I think I was
but you just said 4,000 words.
Yeah, but I didn't write for the 4,000 words. But
you just chose to write 3 sentences.
Yeah, I just wrote like, I like DCS. DCS is basically my home. I would love to come back for another year.
Really?
I'm gonna have to find where I wrote it because I have it saved somewhere. I will try and find it for you, Aaron.
Yeah.
And I swear down, I did not write 4,000 characters because I wrote something along the lines of, Warwick is like my home or something.
Oh. Were you just planning on doing 3 years and then wanted to go up to a 4th year?
Okay, so a long time ago, young Hamish wanted to do that, but then at Warwick, I discovered you could do the MN.
Yeah,
so the integrated masters like yourself. So I did obviously apply for the MN like yourself at the end of 2nd year. I didn't do too well. Even my 3rd year obviously wasn't going to save me, so I was on the BSc as a result, but I tried to do an intercalated year as well, but that didn't work out. So I ended up graduating with the bachelor's 2-2, and then I had applied for the masters, and I ended up getting a scholarship as well, so it made my life a lot easier to come back, and then I came back.
It's interesting they didn't let you switch up to an integrated master's.
No, I was on the MN already. They moved me down because I got a 2-2 at the end of 2nd year.
Oh yeah, so that's
So
what
same as you, basically.
Yeah. So I was on the other, the slight edge up.
Yeah.
It's like me and Anna have had a lot of discussion about this because Anna was on the Athena Swan committee, which is mathematics. It's a committee to sort of help girls get into maths a bit more. It focuses on sort of like stuff like that. One of the things they were saying was the fact that the fact that Warwick has the same entry requirements for going on to the 3 years as it does the 4th years seems really not really silly, but it seems it makes it look like 3 years just isn't. Sorry, the 4 years is just as good as 3. So they're worried that she was saying that it might put off people, and they should do a better system of you just get put on the 3rd year and then you get asked to go up to the 4th year if you're doing well enough.
Oh no, I thought that wasn't the MN higher than the BSc?
No. So the M Math is the same
maths, okay.
as the BSc. I don't know about computer science. It might be slightly more.
Yeah.
But because obviously maths, Warwick, you needed STEP, which was an external thing that Cambridge run, which I don't think you need anymore, actually. I think they got rid of it. Well, not got rid of it, but I don't think you need it anymore.
So was Alex Ingram kind of the first time, him mentioning it, was that kind of the first time you were like contemplated doing computer science?
Yeah.
Did you ever think about doing it as like the original degree or anything like that?
I didn't realize what computer science was until college. So obviously I'd done IT in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone loves to make a web page in HTML. And I'd done a bit of Python in college, but 2 of the people that were in the robot team were doing computer science A-level. So I got exposed to it a little bit then.
Yeah.
But I thought computer science was just like this magical land where computers magically start making sense, and I would never really understand it because I was just sort of into maths and sciences, well, like physics and chemistry and biology, and like computers didn't really make sense to me. And I vaguely knew that like what a CPU was and a motherboard and like the hardware components, but like sometimes people were talking about like buses and threads, and I was like, what the hell are all these words that they're throwing at me? But yeah, so I never even had really the inclination to do computer science. Like I was actually wanting to be an astrophysicist.
Oh, mad.
And I put maths as my first choice and then astrophysics as my second choice on my, what's it called? Can't even remember. Ofcom.
UCAS.
Ofsted? UCAS, that's what it's called. The UCAS form. And that's what basically I did. And obviously I got high enough grades to do maths and I never thought about it again.
Yeah.
That first module must have been piss easy because like it was a split of like comp sci, maths and something else. And I remember like the Adam Chester module.
Oh yeah.
So we were sitting there chilling and I could see like, you know, the other master students, like they were having a bit more of a tough time.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't attend any of the maths-based one. So like it was split into 3, like you say. So it was, It was learning.
Oh, I attended the first 2 lectures, bro. After first 2 lectures, I'm not there.
It was 3 weeks of learning Python. Then it was 3 weeks of learning sort of maths-based things, and then it was 3 weeks of learning algorithms.
It could have been that.
It was split like that, and then the maths one I just didn't attend because it was actually just it was A-level maths. If that makes sense, because it was just simple. I don't know if they actually went into sort of differentiation and stuff like that, but they definitely went into it was stuff that I'd obviously already heard. And then when I looked at the coursework, I was like, yeah, this is.
It was basically our first year maths module, but a very easy version of it. And yeah, I also didn't go because they put us in the upstairs comp sci room can only fit like 90 people. We had like 130 people in the fucking course, and they tried to fit us all into that lecture room for a core module. Yeah. So I just didn't bother going again. I was like, I'm not sitting on the side or standing up the entire hour.
I actually know the exact number of people that attended. It was actually 88.
Oh, mad.
How'd you know that?
Adam Chester told me, because there was an interesting story about that as well. So obviously I had Adam Chester as my dissertation supervisor. Obviously we would talk a lot because I loved Adam Chester, Big AC we called him. But yeah, so he...
Aaron.
Wait, Big AC? Wait, you've just taken my initials then?
Aaron's little AC.
No, I'm not being little AC.
Did he ever beat you in squash?
Yeah, he came and he came and smoked us at squash.
You should have used a faster ball. That's what he told me. Because again, like we talked, but anyway, he bought us dominoes once whilst we were revising. Actually, that was pretty big of him. That was one of my favorite moments in DCS. We were all revising hard, and he just brought us. I think we were revising for security, and he just bought us dominoes one night because everyone was like,
In like everyone in like the common room.
It was everyone in the DCS common room, yeah.
I think I was there actually.
Oh, were you there? Do you remember the pizza? And like, I genuinely went. So like, we had like, he bought a lot, right? And I went into the other computer room, which was just computers rather than a bit of the common room. And I said to everyone, I was like, oh, Adam Chester's bought the 4th year's pizza. And I could see the 4th years, like the ones that were doing our course. And they just looked at me like with disgust. And I was like, what? And none of them got up. And I was like, was
I there this day?
I think you weren't. I think you had gone home already because it was like really late. It was like at 7.
Oh no, that's dinner time. Yeah, I would have been home at dinner time. I come back after.
I think me and Elvis were talking about getting takeout, and then like Adam Chester just rocked up with pizza. It was like, anyway, I can't remember what the original. I think we were talking about. Oh yeah, so there was 88 people doing our gear, and Adam Chester was telling me this because they normally only let, I think, roughly 90 in, like they say, because that's the capacity of the room. But they always sort of expect a few people not to show up due to visa issues or other such issues. Like
I thought you were going to say they just don't like turning up to lectures. I was like, oh, fuck.
Nah.
So they knew.
He was just been exposed.
Yeah. But I knew there was 88 people that got accepted.
Oh, man.
Cool, awesome. What did you do after uni? Did you go follow the computer science?
So yes, I went into software development. So I got a job offer not dependent on my degree because they only really cared about the fact that I'd done 3 years in maths, but I now work for a company called Autodesk software development, or application development. Yeah.
I was like they have like a graphics application and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, they make software that makes things is their official tagline. So yeah, they have Maya. So that's one of the big graphics ones for gaming. If you start up, I think Rocket League. If you start Rocket League, Autodesk Scale Form, I think shows up as one of the things. There's quite a few. But so we work with the manufacturing aspect. So we work with a product called Future 360.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, which is trying to sort of storm the world when it comes to manufacturing, but it's sort of lightweight stuff.
A few of you went Autodesk, didn't you? I remember a few people.
Yes, Michael and Bella also went as well. They're still there as well. I regularly have conversations with Michael.
Oh, so where is Autodesk based?
Birmingham. So the office we work is in Birmingham.
Right.
Not a very nice area.
Was that a factor for you at all?
It was a little bit because obviously Anna was doing a PhD at Warwick still.
Mm-hmm.
Anna being my fiance, people on the podcast.
Hey.
Anyone listening. But
congrats, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. But anyway, yeah, so that she was doing a sort of a PhD at Warwick. So we looked for a house in Coventry, Kenilworth, and we found one in Kenilworth. So a job nearby was quite useful. So it was about a 40-minute drive, which is fine. But it was actually sort of like just along the A45. So it was actually really easy to drive to and from.
Yeah. And the career in software development, is that something that you kind of enjoy now?
Yeah.
Since it's kind of a career, not exactly what you were planning, I guess, at the beginning of uni.
Well, the problem is when I look back at the start of uni, I had no idea what I was going to do when I left.
Right, yeah.
Because maths is a bit of a weird one. Like most people end up going into finance anyway. I probably would have ended up just going into finance if I could get a job somewhere.
Oh, I was going to ask, why didn't you go into finance?
To be honest, I never actually applied for any finance job, which is, when I think about it was odd because I probably should have done. But I think most of the finance places were in London. There was very few in Birmingham.
Yeah, awesome. So you've got two options here. We can kind of stick on the same theme. I see like PC, hardware, and gaming there. Or you did mention how you've got a fiance now. We could go into wedding planning.
We don't have to. We can talk about anything if you want.
To be honest, I'm quite interested in wedding planning, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So obviously this...
Not that I've got plans, like immediate plans or anything, but...
So, well, I think
indirects.
It's more relevant now because of the fact that like our wedding got completely disrupted by COVID, as you can imagine, because we were planning on being married August 23rd last year. August 21st, sorry, last year. We had to move it to July 21st this year. And it was actually pretty... So we got engaged on Christmas Eve, unofficially, as in like I hadn't actually proposed. We just kind of had sort of an agreement that we wanted to get married because like that's what millennials do.
How did that conversation like go down?
Well, we both, it depends who you ask. So I remain adamant that we agreed to it when we were driving back from Morrison. So this brings into the sort of thing of, because Anna's obviously in America right now doing her PhD. She's now doing it in America. And when we were in the initial discussions of that, because she only started last September, one of the initial things was, obviously, I was going to plan on moving to America. And would it be easier if we got married and I say green card wedding, but it isn't a green card wedding because she's an American citizen. But there's a lot of visas in America that have a 1 at the end of them. And the ones that have the 2 at the end of them are the ones for the husband. So if you get an F1 visa for Anna, I can get an F2 visa. If she gets a J1, I can get a J2, L1, L2. That's just how the system works. Mm-hmm. So we kind of jokingly said, like, this was like months before we actually got properly ones. Would it be easier if we just got like married for the system?
So wait, is this on Christmas Eve or is this months?
No, this is before then. Okay. So this was before then. So would it be easier if we got married just as a sort of like, because obviously I was actually planning on proposing around April anyway, because that was going to be our 5-year anniversary. Anyway, like I had plans in the works. But so like it just sort of happened. And then one of the reasons why I didn't want to just have sort of this green card wedding was because of the fact that it would have felt wrong, if that makes sense. And I thought that my family wouldn't like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't like that. But then, December 22nd, roughly, my mum just randomly says to me, she goes, "Oh, by the way, Marcus, you know, like, if you get married, it can be easier to emigrate to America with Anna." And I was like, "Oh, so like you guys would be like, okay if we did that?" And she was like, yeah, we'd be fine. Some of our friends did that at one point. And I was like, what?
You see that? Yeah, that's exactly. They only listen to their friends. They don't actually take into the rationale behind your thinking in the first place.
Yeah.
As soon as it gets the validation, you're good to go.
Yeah. Anyway, I was like, so then obviously I then drove down because I was in Burnley at the time with family. So I drove down because we were spending Christmas at Anna's mum's for that Christmas. So I drove down on December 24th. And I went to pick up Anna from her house because Anna was like, "Oh, we need to do some last minute Christmas shopping." So we quickly drove to Morrison's down the road. And then on the way back, I was telling her about the fact that, like, oh, by the way, my mum and dad wouldn't actually be annoyed if we got like sort of green card married or whatever. And then Anna was just like, oh, and then so Anna got like, so Anna obviously says that we had a different conversation. There was something else that happened.
I probably believe her.
Yeah, you can do. But I'm adamant to this day that we kind of just agreed to it on thing. And then that night, we hadn't told anyone. And Anna literally was on her laptop in bed looking at wedding venues and starting planning the wedding. And she loved like keeping the secret from her mum because she didn't want to tell her mum. And sadly, my granddad passed away due to like a stroke on, I think it was Boxing Day or the 27th of December. So we hadn't told anyone then, and we were worried that if we were to tell people, it would sort of take away the fact that the funeral was coming up. So we kind of like kept it a secret a bit, and obviously we told my parents a bit after. But then I actually proposed. Story is, I tried to propose in Russian. I messed it up, but that was fine.
I'm guessing she's Russian.
Yes, sorry.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, good.
Did you say Kia?
Kia? What?
Isn't that no?
Is it? Yeah. No, niet is no.
Oh, niet. Yeah, shit. Sorry.
Niet.
Yeah. Sorry, I was taught by my Russian friends.
Okay. I can't exactly remember what I know I tried to say, "Will you marry me?" So there's a specific way you ask it. So I asked her mum, actually, because her mum obviously knew it this time as well. And what I'd done is I'd put the wedding ring on Noodle's collar, and I went down on one knee, and I held up Noodle to Anna, and Noodle squirmed away whilst I was doing it.
Can I just clarify for the listeners? Noodle is a cat.
Noodle is a cat, yes. Noodle is our pet cat.
This is like how I imagine Hamish wants to be proposed to.
Oh, yeah.
Like if someone presented him with a cat.
Yeah, so obviously we had planned the wedding. And because Anna was planning on going to America in September, we thought we got to try and get the wedding in before then, because obviously we don't have to come back. Because this was before. We planned the wedding before COVID was even a thing in this country. We actually had the wedding planned and booked in February. So we were pretty close. And then the lockdown came in end of March, was it? So that's when things started to rile up. I can't remember. March, April.
Yeah, it was March 23, roughly.
So yeah, so obviously lockdown got lifted roughly the end of July or June, something like that. But weddings were still restricted. So we were hoping that weddings would get restricted and get lifted and we could have it in August, but it wasn't. Obviously, it got kept up, and now we then moved it to July, and we've got lucky because now restrictions are going to get lifted in June, so we can actually go ahead for once. But yeah, so that's the sort of long story of how the wedding planning went on. Actually planning the wedding was relatively easy to the stress of actually moving the wedding.
Is it really expensive?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that's what I wanted to ask.
Weddings are... Okay, try and guess how much our wedding's going to cost.
You don't have to say it like...
Oh, I'm not bothered. I'll tell you.
Okay.
I think is it around 75k? Because I know someone that else that had a Christian.
75,000? What?
Someone else that's had like a Christian wedding said that the entire thing cost 75k.
No, I'm not that... What? How much money do you think? I was like... We were like...
married in the Vatican, bro.
Yeah, we were like students when we were planning this, basically, still.
I feel like it also must depend on like guests, number of guests, and
Yeah, so
stuff like
it's
that.
about £120 per person for the day event.
Yeah.
And we have about 60 people coming.
I don't know. Is it like 20k or something?
It's less than that. It's about 15.
15. Okay.
Yeah, we can obviously. So now, because it's a year later and we have a year more money, like we might spend a little extra on a few extra things. But yeah, but no, it wasn't that bad. My sister's wedding cost, I think it was like 32. So we're doing, but she literally got married in a castle. So we're just getting married in like a fancy manor house.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How does the wedding go? Like, how does your kind of wedding go? Well, I've only been to an Indian one.
Oh yeah, and they go on for 5 days.
They're like 7-day things.
Yeah. Indian weddings. I've heard stories from Janak about Indian weddings, like really good.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so we're having a civil wedding because we're not really that religious. We did want a humanitarian wedding, but they aren't legal in England at the moment.
What is a humanitarian wedding?
It's basically like, so they exist in Scotland. So it is a humanist. So a humanist is a belief or religion. I don't know what it actually classes as, but it's a way of having sort of a non-religious religious wedding. So there's some weird laws in this country where if you're not having a religious wedding, you can't sing hymns or read Bible verses at all during the wedding, which is really weird, but it's just one of those rules. I'm assuming it was to stop same-sex couples having sort of things that look like church weddings not actually be church weddings. But Scotland has since sort of brought in this humanist thing, which is going to be legal in England. I think soon. They've put the bill in for it in government, but it won't clear in time. Our wedding is going to be it starts, I think, about midday. You arrive, you get a drink, you sort of meet me, the groom, and the groom's family. We sort of converse. And then,
is that an event? Meet the groom?
Yeah, meet the groom is literally what it says on the thing, the schedule. And then about half 12 and a quarter to 1, people move down into sort of the it's called the greenhouse, although it's not actually a greenhouse. It's just got like a sort of fancy glass roof. You go and sit down. I'm standing at the thing, and then I believe
marijuana.
At 1 o'clock. And then at 1 wow. And then at 1 o'clock, Anna will then walk down the wedding. We get married. I think about 2, then you have something called what's it called? You used to have canapes and another alcoholic beverage. And then about 3 o'clock, you go down into sort of the area that you sit down to have your wedding breakfast, is what the meal is called. That then everyone gets sits down. I believe bread is put out then, but then obviously speeches get given, and then the food gets served, and then the cake gets cut.
When you say bread, do you mean that starter thing, like
like fancy bread?
I see.
Like bread and cheeses.
Are you gonna have like a bachelor's party?
Well, I'm assuming it's getting planned, but obviously I don't know when I'm going to be in the country because I'm meant to be going to America at some point, but we don't know when.
Are there any things like you're like, yeah, don't? Because we've actually had this conversation at like
what's allowed.
Yeah.
I don't know I feel like strippers aren't that big of a thing in this country, but they might be. I don't know.
Be careful what you wish for, Marcus. I'm sure I can pass on the message to someone.
Hamish has contacts in that industry. So
okay, then
I would be warned.
But yeah,
that sounds bad. Hold on, no.
It's not wrong though.
No, just Google, man. People forget how easy Google is.
Yeah. Like you could definitely hire one, but I just don't know if it's a thing in this because obviously all my sort of images of
all of Marcus's friends. Can you please show him a good time? Anna, if you're listening, you didn't hear that come from me. I'm one of the better influences in his life, I think.
Yeah, because all my sort of knowledge of bachelor parties comes from American sitcoms where they always have strippers, and the strippers are always a surprise stripper, and it's either Danny
like a surprise, but it's not a surprise.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's a bit of an interesting one. I would assume that we're not going to do anything like that, and we'd probably just have maybe a poker night. I think would be quite nice. Drink some nice whiskey.
Yeah,
have a nice poker night. Maybe some cigars.
There's been common debate amongst our friends that if they would let me organize the stag do, he actually said no because he wouldn't. Currently, I cannot be trusted to not get someone a stripper on the birthday, even though I said I wouldn't do it if they didn't want it. But like, if Aaron never let me organize his,
yeah, because obviously, like again, like I say, my knowledge of bachelor parties comes from American sitcoms, and those sitcoms are like, granted, they're not PG, but like they're like 12 or whatever. I don't know what the American rating system is. So you don't actually see probably what actually a stripper does. So I have no idea what an actual stripper does. So again, probably Google is your friend.
You could tell them not to go nude or so, as Aaron experienced.
Yeah, having gone through the experience myself.
Oh, okay.
It's not
what,
all
being
that.
the stripper or
No.
Hey, Lil AC.
Hamish got me a stripper on my birthday, like 2 years ago, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And like, that was just my birthday. So no way is he getting the opportunity to get one on like a stag do.
The thing is, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, like, I think I'd make it like, you know, like a nice chain of events. Like, it'll be fun. Like, if he was to look back on it in a video format or whatever happened in the stag do, I think it'd be really funny, you know?
It's one of those ones that, to be honest, I feel like if I was to put like a bet on it, I would say that a surprise stripper would probably ruin the bachelor's party more than it would make it, because of the fact that if it was like a surprise one. But you would need to be in like a private house, I'm assuming, for have it. Like, but
yeah, not sure.
Yeah, just be careful what you wish from us. Your friends are listening that are probably organizing it.
I don't think Janak, Louis, or Sam are going to organize a stripper, because I don't think any of them would be able to want it. Well, first of all, they won't want to deal with it as well. But no.
Have you had to do that thing where you're like, oh, should we invite this person? Like,
oh, yes. So if you want some stories, I've got a few, but Anna does not like a few of the housemates I lived with.
Ooh.
I won't name names because I don't want to throw shade, but there are a few people that like are in Komsky and maths and all that lot, which are not allowed to come to the wedding in any form, one way or the other, because Anna just did not get on with them. Fully understandable means. There's a reason why I'm not fighting back, but like, if they were probably listening to this, they'd probably be able to guess because they've not got an invite to the wedding. But when they probably think they might deserve one. But like, I would have invited them if I could, but Anna kind of put her foot down. I was like, fair enough. I can't argue that there's a completely understandable reason why she doesn't want them there.
No, that's fair. Because I was going to be like, is it that deep really? Because it's just another body. At like, I assume there's going to be lots of guests, but then when it's at a cost of £120 per head,
yeah. So that's for the day event. So for the evening event, which is just the party, it's only like a £13 per person. So like, I actually said, well, can they come to the evening event? Because obviously there's going to be, I think, 130 people coming to that. So it's just going to be another face in the crowd, like Hamish says. And I think she said maybe, and then I think she kind of just said no at one point.
I get that. Like, if you don't like them or whatever, there's no point ruining whatever day it is.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff though. Are you like excited or like nervous or like, is it stressful, kind of the whole thing?
I'm yet to sort out my wedding suit. So I probably should, I'm stressing about that a bit because obviously nowhere's open right now, really, to do it. And I kind of know what I want, but I'm stressing about that sort of aspect of it.
Right.
But I'll probably be nervous on the day. I don't think cold feet exists in my vocabulary. So I'm not worried about that.
And I was going to say, are you kind of like, do you consider yourself quite a romantic person?
Me, probably not. Like, I'd say proposing via Noodle was the most romantic thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I think that was really cute.
But that took me a lot of planning to figure out how to do. Like, I was thinking about that for a good few weeks. Like, one of my original plans was instead to propose when we were at the top of, like, I think we were going to climb Scarfell Pike or one, something like that, because she's a bit into mountaineering. And I was going to propose at the top of like sort of a mountain. But again, that was my plan in April, but we never got to that. So, but yeah, no, I'm really bad at keeping secrets as well. She always has this like running thing that she's never going to get surprised by me because of the fact that I always ruin the secret. Like always, like birthday presents, Christmas presents. I just can't keep secrets when it comes to like that sort of thing.
What you should do, just order it a year in advance, and then you'll forget about it by the time it actually arrives and gift wrap.
Well, like for Valentine's Day, I sent her a Valentine's Day card, right? But to get to America, it takes like 3 weeks, and I did not plan for this properly. So like, it just didn't arrive on Valentine's Day. It arrived like February 21st or something. So like, I had to figure out a nonchalant way because I really tried hard to keep it a secret. But I tried like making up some excuses about the fact that like maybe some visa paperwork will have been sent to her address for me, so she should check her mailbox. And then it kept on just not arriving and not arriving and not arriving. And then I think I gave up and just told her that like, yeah, there's a card meant to be coming. And she was just like, you just can't keep a secret, can you? And I was like, I was getting worried about the fact that like they may just not have sent the card.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So apart from getting married together, you also adopted a cat.
We did, yes. So, well, adopt is a strong word. There wasn't really a legal, I'm assuming adoption would imply that there's some paperwork involved, but we kind of just got gifted her, the cat. So I think Hamish was actually in DCS at the time when we got a Snapchat one day of a friend called Sam, who I've mentioned before, but he obviously did computer science. And he sent a Snapchat when he was at home, and his sister is a vet, and someone had brought in a 2-day-old kitten that they had found in a dumpster. Because obviously they took it to the vet because that's what people do. There's probably a good chance that it was just a stray cat had a litter in the dumpster and had just left one behind thinking that she wasn't going to make it, or like the person got near and the stray cat ran off. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, so it's a 2-day-old kitten and they took her into the vet. And not going to lie, the Sam's sister didn't think she was going to make it. And after, I think it's like the first few days, because obviously they're bottle feeding her and they're trying to keep her warm and stuff. Because obviously they expect like a mother's warmth and stuff. But yeah, so Sam sent this Snapchat, and me and Anna obviously had a house that we were going to be renting that allowed pets. And we were like, because we always thought we'd want to get a cat at one point. And we were like, this cat's adorable and we kind of want to. And Sam was saying that like they don't know what they're going to do once the cat's grown up because they can't have it because they have a dog and they don't want a cat. They're not really cat people and they're just going to temporarily look after her. So me and Anna kind of just agreed that we'd take her. And when she was about 11 weeks old, they brought her down from Sheffield to Kenilworth, and we've had her ever since. And I have some very cute photos of a very small, she's actually a bit stripy furred noodle. She's a completely black cat now. She was a stripy cat when she was younger.
Yeah, it's a good thing you did that as well, because black cats usually get left behind or basically get put down. Because
I would like to believe that she wasn't just thrown in the dumpster by a human, and it was just a stray cat that left her in there, because obviously like stray cats exist.
Yeah.
So they can lose their stripes?
Well, I think it's more, when I say stripes, I can show you a picture afterwards, but it was like black and then like slightly less black stripes. Like in the sunlight, you could see that there were stripes.
Right.
But I don't know whether or not is that just the thing that kittens have to help them blend into the background possibly? Or maybe the dad cat or the mum cat had stripes with them and like one was a black and the black gene's dominant, like in hair.
Yeah.
I'm not too certain on cat genetics, to be honest.
I thought when you have like you get a pet, there is always, I didn't know you can just get a pet. I thought there had to be like paperwork and stuff.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like if you went to a cat adoption shelter, then yeah, there'd be paperwork. But if you're not worried about knowing the breed of the animal or keeping a record of the breed of the animal, then why would it matter?
Do you not go, how do you go to the vet then?
What do you mean? You can still take it to the vet. It's not illegal to take a cat to the vet.
So you don't need paperwork for that?
No. That's what I mean. So my sister adopted a cat, and she obviously had paperwork signed, and she had to pay a £20 fee to sign the paperwork to adopt her cat. We never had that.
So like one of the things is like, even though I joke about it now, basically to our parents, like, I want to get like 4 cats here. Just be careful, you have 4 little kittens here.
Yeah.
But like obviously we're waiting to get the big house and everything before we do that. And so essentially that now you have to get like a cat pass. I'm like, fam, like I'll get a cat tomorrow if I want. Do not fucking test me on this.
Yeah.
Do not threaten me to not get a cat because of all the paperwork and stuff. I will do it. But now that you told me this is just more reassurance that I can do it without half the paperwork. Yeah,
you could just probably find a cat on like eBay or something like that. Probably not eBay. But some like market share, like Facebook or whatever, they have a marketplace, right? Like there'll be people that just have kittens that the cats had, and they don't want to. They might keep like 1 or 2, but they'll probably have like 8 kittens or 6 kittens or whatever the normal litter of kittens is, and they'll just be selling them for like 10, 20 quid.
That's bare sad though.
You know, our
like-
friend
Yeah, but-
Alex Mukperson, yeah, him and his girlfriend. So you wouldn't actually know. I don't think you would have met him unless you met him in your prior 3 years at uni, by the way, Marcus. He actually bought it from a breeder who they have a little bit rarer species of cat. I forgot what the exact name is. It's nearly like a tabby cat, but it was something specific, and they're a bit more expensive. So he actually bought the kitten as literally a kitten.
Yeah.
And they've just grown up with it over lockdown. Well, it was before lockdown, yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. So if you want an actual breed of a cat, you have to pay like a lot of money. Well, probably a lot.
That's probably going to happen to me anyways, but I wouldn't be against adopting a black cat in the shelter or something.
Yeah. Well, like any cat that you get adopted from a shelter is probably a good idea. You just have to be careful that it's not like that. It wasn't a feral cat, because feral cats often have a lot of problems bonding to humans.
What's a feral cat?
It's like one that was in the wild. Completely.
Yeah, one that was on the streets. So like my sister adopted a feral cat, and she hisses at anything that's not my sister or her husband.
Yeah, if you go to RSPCA website, for example, Aaron, and check the adopt page, it will tell you the specific requirements of each one based on their past or whatever, or based on their current situation. Like you may not be able to get certain insurance from due to some health conditions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you do have to look out for, but honestly, I think the happiness you get from the animals is outweighs those expenses.
How much does it cost to like adopt a pet?
Depends on the breed.
So it's actually like different breeds are more expensive.
Yeah. So you can get purebred cats. Yeah, Noodle's a domestic short hair, I think, which is a pretty common cat. If you were to draw a cat, you'd probably be drawing Noodle. But so there's obviously the British short hair, which is like a grey cat with like blue eyes and it's got kind of a round face.
Yeah.
So the British short hair is quite a common one in this country. And then you've got like Siamese cats and like Burmese cats and Bengal cats. And they're all different like patterns and breeds and stuff. There's a lot of cat breeds out there. It's just that people don't really care that much sometimes, because it's not like they vary in a little bit of size and they vary in a little bit of behavior. Like apparently black cats are actually some of the friendliest, which is I think quite interesting. But like with dogs, like a breed is a completely different cat. A dog, sorry.
If I had to guess, I'd say are dogs more expensive?
Yes. So like I think Louis has a purebred Labrador and she cost several £100 possibly. And I think they got a discount on her because they knew the person that was breeding them. And she has like a family tree certificate that goes back like six or five generations, I think, where each dog on the tree will then have a number next to its name or something, which will tell it how many parents it can go back to certified, if that makes sense.
Right.
And it obviously stops with one of the parents that they don't know where the thing is. So like Tess is, I think it's like sixth breed or something like that. So she's pretty like purebred.
I sent you both a video on Facebook of one I met a few years ago when going on a walk. So I had the day off for my birthday and I was just going on a walk and I found it and I just called it over. He or she came running over and just played with me for like 5-10 minutes and then I had to go obviously because time constraints. But I sent the video on Messenger whenever it uploads. This is the exact breed that you're talking about. But like if you manage to run into a nice domesticated cat, then you can get some good interaction out of it and a lot of playtime.
Did you try and pet the belly?
Yeah, no. I mean, it may not be in the video, but I've definitely, for that one, yeah. I thought it was like, like I was going to get scratched for it. So I waited before I did it, like quite a bit. You could probably hear the purring in the video as well. Then I did it. And he or she was completely
fine. That's interesting, right? So Noodle is a bit of a weird cat in the sense that she doesn't purr when she's petted. So she'll obviously happily take pets and she loves a good pet, but she only purrs. So like I'd be lying in my bed and in like the darkness and she'll jump onto your chest and stand on your chest and then start purring. And like, that's when you pet her and that's when she'll purr. But if she was just to walk in onto the floor, I'd pet her. She wouldn't purr. It's a bit of a weird cat.
Maybe it's a very silent purr.
Yeah.
So if I saw a dog or a cat on the street, and it didn't have a name like a collar.
It could be microchipped. You just don't know.
Yeah, it could be microchipped.
Let's say for argument's sake, it's not microchipped.
Right.
I just somehow know it's not.
Yeah.
I could take that cat home or dog and just go about my normal life.
Yeah, just ask locals what if they've seen the pet about or the animal about before, because they could be keeping it, like they may not have like adopted it, but they could be like feeding it too.
So let's say I didn't have Noodle and this black cat one day just showed up. So we were living in our house in Kenilworth, right? And this cat without a collar started appearing in our back garden. Like,
Yeah.
if it kept on coming back to the back garden, right, then it obviously, if it is a feral cat and it doesn't have a collar, and it just never has a collar, because obviously Noodle's lost her collar before, but you see it'd have to be a few times. But like, I would say if you started to put like food out for them and they kept on coming back, then maybe. But it's one of those ones where you'd have to take her to the vet and you'd have to check that she isn't microchipped. Because Noodle's chipped. So like, if she got out and she didn't have a collar on, then if someone found her and took her to the vet, then they'll know immediately who to call.
Mm-hmm.
And what's this microchip stuff? What's all of that?
It's a very tiny like chip. It causes irritation, I think 1 or 2 days, but that's it. And it basically, it's not like a tracker. It's just a little thing containing some information like owner name, cat breed.
I think it just contains an ID number that goes to a database.
Oh yeah, all that, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they check it, and then that's how they know who it belongs to. Ideally, if you don't do that though, you may be at a bit of an issue because you can.
I would say that I'm not a lawyer here, and I'm sure that this isn't legally binding. But I would say if you've not got your pet microchipped, then there is no way of like. Obviously, there are probably ways of proving that the pet is yours, but I would say that there's no actual way of proving it because obviously, like, it could just be a dog that looks exactly the same. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be quite difficult. So, like, if you obviously were to take a cat home, and then, like, after like 3 weeks, lost posters go up of the cat that you've taken home, like, obviously you have a moral reason to like, oh, sorry, I thought this cat was feral and I kind of adopted her. But I don't think legally you have to.
So do you not get that thing like, you know, in TV shows and films where like they know it's their pet?
Yeah.
Do you not think that like that's realistic?
That's the thing, right? I would like to say that I would be able to pick Noodle out of a crowd of black cats. But I don't know, if I've not seen her in like a few weeks or like a year or something, because cats have gone missing for years apparently and come back. Because like they are pretty good at surviving in the wild on their own. They can, well, maybe not years.
It depends if they're a house cat or not. Like if they're purely a house cat, then
yeah. Well, Noodle does go outside, so she's fine. But yeah, so like, I would like to think I could, because I know that she has like 4 white hairs on her chest in a bit of a weird pattern, like just 4 white hairs, just randomly. So I could probably figure that out. But if another cat had 4 white hairs roughly in that same thing, who knows?
Yeah, I like the name Noodle as well. I think that's quite cool. Hamish, do you know the names of like, because you plan on getting pets at some point?
So I plan on getting, ideally I would want, okay, so I was going to say minimum, at least early stage, I want 2 ginger tabbies, 1 male, 1 female, ideally not siblings, because I'd want them to have their own family. If they wanted.
Why would you want to have to deal with kittens?
What's your problem, fam? That's not your problem, fam. That's my
so
problem.
So much stress. Dealing with one kitten was a lot of stress, Hamish. You do not want to have to deal with a family of cats.
They'll be named Mr. and Mrs. Garfield, or Mr. and Miss Garfield.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because they'll look like Garfield, ideally, and maybe
you're gonna make them fat as well in Garfield.
I don't know about that. It depends on how they are with the eating it. That's kind of on them a bit as well.
Try not to make your cats get fat.
At most, I'd let them have like 1 litter because I don't want to like take that right away from them, to have children or whatever. But if I ended up walking into a shelter or something and I found these and there was another cat there, it's highly likely, for example, a black cat would also leave the shelter with me. I don't think I would have enough restraint to stop myself from adopting more than 2 cats if I went in.
Yeah.
So there needs to be something. They basically, after
just don't go in.
Yeah, so I'll have to tell them, could you bring it to me outside? Because if I come inside, you're going to have more cats coming home with me. That's same with dogs as well. Like, you're just going to end up, because you basically look at all of them, they all look nice. And then you're like, oh, fuck. And the thing is, if I see a black cat there, I know I'd have to take it because I don't want it to be killed because it's just a black cat.
Do you know the name? What you name it?
The black one?
Yeah.
No, I haven't thought that far ahead. I know that I would end up walking out with an extra cat or 2, which is why I need ideally buy it from a breeder.
Yeah, but if you go to a breeder, there might be like 6 or 7 little kittens running around and you might be like, I'll take all of them.
Yeah, that's also another issue, but we'll deal with that at the time. But the thing is, when they have the kittens, I wouldn't sell them. I'd say if friends wanted to like adopt them free of charge, then they're welcome to, provided that I do trust them.
But aren't you separating it from its family?
After 8 or 12 weeks, I think it is when the cat or the kitten can be independent.
I don't think cats really have a concept of like family.
Okay.
They probably do, but like you have to remember these were wild animals at one point. Like, granted, lions have like a pride and stuff, but like tigers go off on their own. Like quite a lot of like sort of big cats just sort of like are independent.
Mm.
But it is recommended if you do get kittens to get 2 because
Yeah, you want them to have a play buddy.
yeah. Which obviously we didn't have really the choice because there wasn't 2 cats found in the dumpster. There's only 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also the reason because I'd want them to also have play buddies, and that's why they'd also be ideally playing with the puppies they get at the same time or whatever. But
yeah, well, yeah, I always think that it would be better to get cats first, then you can
and
get
then
puppy after.
dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do, if possible, is get a parrot first, then cats, then dogs.
Parrot?
I mean,
Wait,
like a
Hamish's house is gonna be some.
Why are you on a
next
parrot?
zoo, bro?
no. I want basically, as I said, 2 parrots. So parrots are the specific type I want. You shouldn't have them as a first bird pet because they're very hard to like train. They're like huskies. You can't actually. They're not a very good first pet. You need to have experience with dealing with such animals. And they're basically the macaw breed of parrots. And in the UK, they're extremely expensive. And basically, you're looking at minimum 1k per parrot, unless you can find a breeding pair that can. You think so? I'd want 1 scarlet macaw, and then I want a blue-green macaw, or blue and gold, whatever it is. That's ideally what I'd want.
Are they the ones that talk?
They can talk, yes.
Oh, okay.
But the issue is obtaining. There's a lot of hurdles. So I've done a lot of research because I've almost bought them a few times in the past few years. But basically, the issue is that you'd have to get them. You'd ideally want them to be hand moored, so because you're not going to get a super like very baby parrot. It's not easily possible. You need to find one that's ideally hand moored by the owner, the breeding owner. So hand moored means that they can actually sit on your hand without like clawing into you. Like they're trained to know how to sit on your hand and shoulder, for example. Otherwise, you have to give the stick and they need a big like kind of like cage or enclosure.
Yeah.
So what I plan to do is when I ideally move into a big house or something, hopefully the garden's big, like like Aaron's garden. It would be like a massive kind of like cage.
Garden's not even big, man.
That's not the point. So like it'll be like I've seen it before. Yeah, people who've adopted multiple cats from like cat shelters, and they have basically a caged off garden, and they have like birds in there and the cats in there, and they're all like this. And obviously I'd have dogs as well, so they can go outside free of like becoming a bully or being bullied by other animals outside, and they could have the fun. They could come into the house when they want, and they could have their own garden.
I think I've seen a setup like this. There was a house near us when I was growing up that had a massive like mesh outcrop that sort of stemmed out of their conservatory door, and we'd occasionally hear bird sounds, and it probably sounds like they may have had some parrots then.
I don't know if it was parrots. The reason I say parrots is because the parrot one, you have to have like a jungle-like enclosure for them, or ideally rainforest one, because that breed, the specific breed I would want, which I can't have as a first-time pet owner, which I acknowledge, so I wouldn't get them as a first-time pet owner. Their needs are like way too high, so you'd have to like train with a very basic bird, like a normal like a budgie or something.
Do you not think it's cruel to have animals that don't belong in this country?
Well, if they're already in this country, like they're being bred in this country, then they've been bred in captivity anyways. So I'm giving them a bit more freedom than what they had before,
right?
To the best of my ability, and hopefully they live a better life. Because parrots live for like 25 years.
Yeah, that's a long time to have a parrot caged in a house.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want it in a small cage, innit? So I'd want it like in.
Yeah, but it's still a cage, though, isn't it?
Someone recently started having this debate with me as well. Like, look, I'm not trying to cage it in a small cage. I understand the concept.
Yeah, I know.
It belongs in a rainforest. Yeah. To start with, mostly. Yeah, most of them belong in rainforests, but they're here somehow. So
let's hypothetically say then. So you get this. You get these birds, okay, and then they're in. So you have them for like 10 years, right? And then let's say the impossible happens and the Green Party get elected. And they decide to throw a clamp down on exotic animals in this country. And they say, right, all sort of these like birds and all that lot need to get shipped back.
Well, mine came from the UK.
No, but I mean like to where they belong. So like, because obviously like the climate here isn't suiting, the foliage isn't suiting. Obviously they won't get released into the wild, but they'll be given to like a zoo in Brazil or wherever these birds come from. Are you gonna like fight tooth and nail to keep your birds?
Yes, I fucking will. They'll ideally be loyal to me as well, innit?
They'll be loyal to you.
And also,
how loyal do you think a bird can be?
These particular pool parrots, they don't actually like changing owners.
They don't like changing owners. Interesting.
They become very attached. It's like they can only have like, for example, like one partner, and they wouldn't be able to accept like really a change in owner. So like,
okay, so
like essentially they would be actually causing the parrot more grief by putting it into a smaller cage or whatever outside.
I don't think the Green Party care about that.
Yeah, I will fight tooth and nail for my pets.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine.
Hamish is going to teach the parrot how to say no in Russian. So when the Green Party ask,
Like,
yeah, but then they're gonna say it's a Russian spy in it, and then I have to deal with the fucking bureaucracy that comes with that.
So, second hypothetical question, right? Why a parrot, right? Why not like a crow or a raven?
Oh, there's good reason for this. I love explaining this. It's been a while since I've done this. The first reason is, so I can tell my parents to shut up on demand. Second one, I can teach it fuck off. So if Aaron comes around, I'm like, tell him to fuck off. I mean, like, fuck off.
So I thought parrots don't actually understand what they're saying. I think they just do it as like mocker, mimicry.
Well, no. There's other stuff like I would teach them like, so there's these things called bhajans. So like they're basically Hindu like prayer kind of thing, but they're like a nice kind of like prayer song kind of thing. I teach them that, so obviously my mom's find it because they'll be randomly singing it about. So she would be very happy with that, because they know.
You're gonna annoy you. I swear you're just gonna be like, shut up, man.
Can they construct sentences? Is that a thing? I thought they just said like one word.
No, but like they can hum it, and like they can sing it. Like when birds sing, they're not exactly like saying words anyways, usually. But the parrots can try to replicate some words anyways. I'm gonna try to teach them specific words. Maybe call by name, like say Hamish if you need to speak to me for whatever reason, or some basic stuff. And then hopefully then in future the cats interact with it well, the dogs interact with the cats and the parrots well.
No,
hopefully it all works
that's
out.
Gonna happen. That's never gonna work.
Hey Marcus, none of this negativity, fam. It's Saturday evening. It's been a good Saturday day.
If you want an animal to interact with other animals, get like a monkey or a gorilla.
No, monkeys and cats don't go well.
Train it like sign language. I don't know. They gave a gorilla a pet kitten, and that gorilla cared for that pet kitten until it died.
That's one of those one-off things, but I've seen it basically in the like time I've been to like visit family in India. Basically, when the monkey came here, like when it rotates through and comes through, all the animals run, the dogs, the cats, and everything, because the monkeys would every time in the generations of that monkey, it would just basically attack those animals, would like kill them. So like when I remember when I had managed to adopt a little kitten there, in a similar way, no paperwork, no nothing, no vet, no nothing. Basically, the cat was like all hair up, the tail had fattened up and everything. The cat was like, nah. And my granddad at the time, he basically said, go inside the house and watch from inside the barred window because the monkey will probably attack if he sees it. And then the kitten's just watching through the frame. I see the monkey making contact with that fucking kitten as well. Eye contact with the kitten. Like, hey, you pagan, look here, you may be stronger than me right now, and you may be as big as me, Bear in mind, the monkey is fucking massive, I don't know what breed of monkey is, but this monkey is fucking massive. And I'll be like, fam, I'll beef you, fam. I don't give a fuck. Don't touch my new kitten.
Is it like, how big, like how big was the monkey? Was it like one that could sit on your shoulder, or was it like...
Like, it could probably sit on your shoulder, like... I don't know.
Did it have a tail? Yeah,
it had a tail.
Okay, then there's a monkey then.
It was like, at the time, if it stood up, it could probably be like over a meter something tall.
Damn, that's a big
This is a big fucking monkey. Bro, I shit, this monkey, Aaron, because the last time I remember going there was when I was quite young, And I'm telling you, this monkey was as fucking big as me, and I was like quite a tall child at the time, especially. So like, this monkey was fucking big. I'm telling you that.
I can't tell if this is more or less believable than my wedding story.
I thought there was some like Planet of the Apes shit going on over there, man.
No. It wasn't those kind of monkey. It was like a grey-haired monkey. I don't know how to describe it because I don't know where it was.
Grey-haired monkey.
As I said, like one day I'll try bother finding the breed, but I don't care enough. But yeah, I know that you basically like it would attack the kitten if it had the chance, because I had recently because the previous cat was killed by some pagan there, and then my granddad had actually gone beating down the guy. So big up my granddad. So because that kitten was super safe. Like basically you could pick up that cat on demand and she'll play with you as long as you're a friend of the family, or part of the family. And then I ended up getting a kitten the next time I went. So I got a little kitten, almost looked exactly the same as the cat. During that period, because I left obviously at my granddad's house, it would only come running to me at the end of it, but I had to go off for like 2 weeks. So it was a sad time. And then when I came back, the kitten didn't really recognize me, so it was a bit peak. But yeah, that
heartbreak.
I remember. Yeah.
Absolute heartbreak.
But I remember giving the kitten a box. The kitten was happy. The kitten would come to me for food. It was big dubs,
So speaking of exotic animals, so like you've got those, you get your 2 parrots, right? Where is the line drawn with you when it comes to animals and adopting them?
What do you mean?
Would you get a monkey in this country?
No.
So no monkey. But like, what about like a lizard?
No reptiles.
No reptiles. Okay, interesting. So it's gotta be either a bird or a.
Would you get like
mammal.
a hamster?
No, hamster's also very short-lived.
Do you see Baxendale?
No, I was gonna tell you this here. What the fuck is wrong with Baxo?
Wait, what's happened with Baxo?
Check his Facebook page.
I deleted my Facebook.
Oh,
shit.
I watched that episode and I
This
watched that
sicko.
mini series on Netflix about social media, and it made me terrified.
Okay.
And I deleted
Yeah.
all my
This
social media.
fucking sicko. He's adopted he had 2 hamsters. One of them's dead now.
Right.
R.I.P. whatever the hamster was called. So the hamsters I could get with, because he had the hamsters since uni. I've seen the hamsters in their cages, running around.
Yeah.
They basically do jack shit. They're just there.
Yeah.
Since then, I didn't know when this happened. My man adopted like 4 rats or 4 mice or whatever.
What?
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
There's a big
basically
difference between rats and mice.
no, this is
They look
How
quite
big are
big.
they?
They look quite big.
they're caged, yeah. But this is where the issue came in, yeah. So first of all, they're disgusting anyways. They're creatures I don't think you should have as pets. Second of all, one had broken out and dug into the sofa and was like found in the sofa. He put a picture on Facebook as if this is a normal activity. I'm like, fam, your mouse escaped your cage and went into your sofa acting like a fucking mouse here. What were you expecting? And he's like, no, man, they're super cute. I'm like, Baxo, bro, what's happened to you since I left you, fam? Like, this ain't right. And I know Aaron would be triggered looking at these because Aaron used to live with mice.
I hear that hamsters people think are a really good pet, but they're not because they're actually nocturnal. So the time that you're awake, they'll literally be asleep. And then when they go to bed at night, you'll just start hearing them like running on their wheel. So like obviously these videos of like hamsters being active during the day is kind of like artificial a little bit.
So I've seen sometimes that when I've been to Baxo's house, I've seen like sometimes the Baxos the Baxos, there's no difference between a rat and Baxo, as you can see. I'm joking. So like the hamster is awake here and it's just going to eat or just going to shit or something. Like it lives in such a small like environment that it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but they live for such a short amount of time that what's the point? And if you get attached too easily, like a hamster's not a good pet for you as well.
What about so we'll go slightly higher, right? What about a rabbit?
No, I wouldn't want to get a rabbit.
Why not?
I feel like also like the cats would have too much fun with it. Like maybe
rabbits
that's
be pretty
Would you
big.
too much fun? Like he's
no, as in like because cats like to have like hunting things. So I'm already taking away the primal thing to hunt the parrots or they really like hunting birds naturally. Like,
Yeah, but not like Noodle sits at the window and chirps at birds.
yeah, so
but,
I don't
like,
want to like
little
take the
ones.
piss here with like like how much they can and can't do because I still want them to play like chase games and everything.
Yeah,
Not chase that. When you wave like a fishing rod around whatever it is
yeah.
with a feather, whatever. Like I still would want to do that kind of stuff.
What
yeah,
about
but,
fish? Would you have fish?
Possibly, yeah, but it would have to be a fish that doesn't look like a complete fucking alien because I'm not a big fan of fish.
Well,
Like a fish
goldfish,
tank,
then.
like
Yeah.
lots of fish.
Oh, like that kind of thing. But how would the cleaning? I heard that cleaning fish tanks isn't that simple.
Yeah, you can
If you got peas.
get like you can
If I
get
got
little not little fish, but like little like crustaceans that clean the tank for you.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, yeah, then I need to make sure the cats have like no way of
Yeah,
fucking up
yeah,
the fish tank because.
they will.
But to be fair, like if I got a fish tank, it would be purely to feed the cats, like for themselves. So that's kind of cruel in a way as well. Like, so there's no point in me doing that.
What if, Hamish,
Oh,
your kid, your like one of your kids, was allergic to cats?
bye, kid.
What? Bye, kid.
Okay, so this is
How does someone get allergic to like?
yeah,
Pets?
this is an
But that is the
interesting
thing, right?
discussion,
People can be
Yeah.
allergic.
Yeah, they can be, but how?
Yeah,
Is my question.
If you're exposed to a cat from an early age, will you ever become allergic?
It's like the people who have nut allergies. They weren't exposed to nuts from a super early age or
Well,
something.
yeah, that's a more of an interesting one, isn't it? Is like there are different types of nut allergies, but it's like that's what I mean, right? I think food allergies behave differently to pet allergies.
Okay.
I think.
I could be waffling right now as well, so yeah. This is no medical advice, so don't
you-
listen to us.
Did you ever meet Russ Hatton?
No.
So he had a severe allergy to cashew nuts, but he had the allergy where every attack he had, it got worse the next time. So it was. I can't remember. There's a specific name for it, but it meant that he just can't have
Exponential.
them. Yeah, more or less. But like the idea is that it got worse every time he had them. Obviously, he always carried an EpiPen with and all that lot. But there's obviously different ones because I have a different friend called Lewis who was allergic to just nuts in general, and he's obviously that's developed over the time, and now he's not as allergic to nuts as he used to be, which is interesting because it's again of is it just the fact that like if you microdose nuts into your body, do you get accustomed to them?
So basically, one of the things is so there's like these jokes that go around is that if you're an Indian person and if you have a nut allergy, you either die or you become used to it. Yeah, like by age 4, like because almost all the foods have nut traces and so on. So like basically, it's very hard to be like an Indian person, like with even slightly traditional parents and grow up with a nut allergy.
Yeah.
I know very few people who have a nut allergy as Indian for whatever reason, but it's not even all nuts. But yeah, I know one person, another friend. Yeah, like I'm one of the people that they trusted to to be the EpiPen person in case, because a lot of people would bring in Indian snacks around him, obviously, as like, like gift or like fun days or whatever, like when it's a special day. And obviously he can't have any of them because he's allergic to even the slightest hint. Or if he can smell like a nut, you'll see like a rash start appearing on his face or something. So like the thing is with the EpiPen people, yeah, I'm fine to do the EpiPen thing, but that's such a big responsibility, yeah, because I've never done this before, by the way. Can I say I'm trusted as the person to do it because I'll do it, yeah, but like I'm like, oh shit, like
what's the procedure then, Hamish? What happens if I'm having an attack next to you?
They get the pens and just basically open it, stab it into the thigh. That's basically what I've been told to do.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
And basically the thing is I've never had to do it, luckily. But the thing is, even when I do it, like, what happens if I do it wrong? Am I responsible for my friend dying?
It's very unlikely that you'll do it wrong.
I mean, like, but yeah, that's like a big responsibility. People need to understand when they're assigning this responsibility to people. I'm like, I understand you gave it to me because I'll do it. I still have no idea what I'm doing.
There's always a possibility that the EpiPen doesn't work as well, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that at the time.
If that happens, so obviously you call an ambulance.
Yeah, they'll be on their way, ideally, hopefully. Hopefully there's a first aider as well somewhere nearby.
The whole point is an EpiPen, I think, is meant to delay it. I'm not 100% certain on it. My mum would probably know because she's a pharmacist and she probably studied this, but I'm not 100% certain whether or not an EpiPen actually just delays the attack or just milds it out until an ambulance is meant to arrive.
Yeah, till they can do whatever work they need to do.
Because I would assume that just injecting adrenaline or something into a person might help the nut allergy, because I'm assuming it helps clear it out the system, but I'm assuming if it's severe enough, then they're going to need actual medical attention.
Yeah, so I'm hoping the pet allergy thing, I don't know how we got there as well. I don't know how the pet allergy starts, but I'm hoping since they'll be exposed to it, maybe since birth or just after birth, that they'll be fine with it, because I need to make sure, the animals are fine with kids and they don't have the issue with the tension, because they obviously have their friends as well. They'll have like their animal friends.
Yeah, there is a thing about not letting dogs near babies because of diseases that can get transferred across.
And I think like huskies are like certain, like basically depending on the kind of like pet you have or the breed, the attentiveness of them, or like for example, macaw parrots may not be good if not trained well. Same with huskies, for example, because they're very like attentive dogs. But yeah. We're just rambling. Like this is we've just been rambling this entire fucking episode.
Yeah. I don't even know if we've started the actual podcast yet.
But what I'm getting from you, Hamish, is that if your kid did have an allergy, it's got to go blood. The kid's got to go.
The kid can have an EpiPen dose every fucking day if it needs.
But anyway, gaming and PC hardware.
When I mentioned Valorant to Hamish, he was like, "What?"
Oh yeah, no, I know what it is now.
Yeah. I just put it on because of the fact that like PC building is quite a big, like, interesting thing now, especially with AMD versus Intel.
What is then say like somebody and like doesn't really have a clue what they're doing, wants to build a PC?
That's me.
Linus Tech Tips.
Yeah, that channel.
That channel is the best channel for that. There's obviously other YouTube channels which aren't as big, but Linus is probably like, I'd say he's not very biased, so it's pretty good. But right now, it's hard to tell. Well, if you can get anything right now, you're pretty lucky because of the silicon shortage. But
yeah, so I actually have AMD 5000. I actually had to RMA that. I'm currently using an AMD 5800X, and I'm using a NVIDIA 3070 Asus Strix OC.
You've actually got quite a nice setup. I'm on a CPU that's 5 years old and a graphics card that's 5 years old.
Yeah, the stock shortages are insane, and the crypto miners are obviously having their fun with it. And then there's obviously the resellers.
Have you not seen that? Like, is it Nvidia have actually going to like start preventing it with a new?
They released a patch, but someone already worked around it, and it doesn't work. That's only for the main coin, I think, Ethereum or something. But obviously, people are always going to find workarounds, and people are just trying to drag the price up like insane amounts. It's quite interesting too. I'm always watching like on my feed and so when I wake up here, when you get the Google News alert, and it tells you this place has released an article on this thing. I usually have a skim through it because sometimes it's interesting.
I've got stock alerts. I did have money in Bitcoin at one point.
Did you make a profit?
I had to sell it. Well, no, I actually didn't. I ended up being even, but I had to sell because I needed to pay for my car repairs. It would only be worth about 1,500 now. So it would have like tripled. I think tripled. But yeah.
Oh, so that's still quite nice.
Yeah. But it's not. My brother made some mad money with GME. He got he got in. Yeah, he got in on like $20 and sold at $3.20.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's buying a car with it.
Oh.
Like, it's madness.
Oh man, you hear about all these stories. I'm always like, oh, why couldn't I just heard about it or like take some action back then?
Well, we talked. I don't know if we were talking about it in the common room of DCS and Hamish was there, but we were talking about the fact that like Bitcoin was at 5,000, and we were like, oh yeah, we should all just put like 100 in, and then
I would refuse to be part of this at the time.
Yeah,
I
and
knew
like,
too little.
Yeah, and if we had put 100 in then, it would be worth 1,000 now. But obviously, that's like it's a reasonably large amount of money. But you would have to put in a large quantity of money to get a stupid amount of money out now. Like, it hasn't like gone up like a ridiculous amount.
Are you gonna ever upgrade your PC hardware soon, if you can, like attain anything?
Yeah. So I actually pre-ordered the new AMD Ryzen one. I had everything ordered, and then I cancelled it because I'm not gonna be able to take it to America. So I didn't know when I was going, and now I roughly know that I'm probably going to be going in like June, assuming I can get a visa interview.
Yeah, my CPU RMA's long in the back. He was looking like it's going to be post-April that the CPU arrives.
No, I was pretty close. I pre-ordered it the day it came out. I put an order in then, so I had it planned, and it was going to. I was about 200th in queue, and they were going down by about 50 each week. So there's a good chance I was probably going to get one in about 3 or 4 weeks after I ordered it.
Is this all stuff for like gaming specifically?
Yeah.
No, it's also really good for production, Aaron. So the one I had initially was even better for production, but it had a faulty core in it, so I sent it back.
When you say production,
editing, rendering,
right? Okay.
Because for that you just need CPU and RAM ideally, at least audio wise. So it will be pretty good. Which is why my rendering speed right now for the podcast is amazing, and I'm absolutely loving it. The only issue would be, I guess, with my cracked version of Adobe Audition.
Do you want to admit that on podcast?
He's gonna sue me.
Adobe will sue you. That's the point, right?
Might want Adobe to sponsor us.
If like that's a different story.
They just give you a free.
I'll go back and edit this out myself. But yeah, like generally, like having a good CPU and good RAM means that you can do so much things at speed. You don't need an amazing graphics card, at least in what we do, Aaron. And then if you have a good graphics card, that just enables you to game or do some like high-end machine learning.
Oh, you need video rendering.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing Blender and stuff like that, where you're actually doing like scene rendering.
Yeah, but until Third Wheel has video, that won't be an issue. I mean, it won't be an issue for me regardless now, but yeah.
But yeah, awesome. Should we start to round up?
So we usually close off by doing final questions, call-outs, and then shoutouts. So this is the same for every episode. We have 2 like custom questions for you that you got to pick from, and then the third one's always the same question. So we'll start with the first one. What is your go-to Tesco meal deal?
So this is a good question because obviously there's a Tesco very close to DCS on campus, and lunch times were always very tempting. If we didn't want to go pit stop, we didn't want to go library cafe, Tesco was always there, and I'd always end up getting a ham and mustard sandwich with a packet of Monster Munch, and it would always be a Pepsi Max. And that would be the go-to for me.
Ham and mustard.
Ham and mustard, yeah.
I don't eat that, so you can't tell me. Why does Aaron look this? I don't know if he looks disgusted or shocked.
I feel like ham and mustard is just like, it's just a basic one. You know what I mean?
It was it was a £3 meal deal, right? I was unaware that I was allowed to splash out on this question. I didn't know.
But a £3 meal deal, you can like.
Aaron tried to get as much money, yeah. Aaron, Tim Armstrong.
Game.
Oh, if you want to maximize your money, you've got to go Boots meal deal.
How much is Boots meal deal?
So the Boots meal deal, I think, was $3.50. It's probably $4 now because of inflation and COVID. But you could the sandwiches they had were like proper, really good sandwiches. Like they had like mixed match ones as well, and like sometimes they had like really chunky boys. But like instead of like just a soft drink, you could get like an innocent smoothie and like ones like that.
You
could do that at Tesco.
Yeah, but they gave you I think a packet of crisps and also a snack. So I think there was 4 things. Like the Boots meal deal was actually, I only found this out towards the end because Richard, one of my friends, told me about it. But like once I discovered that, that's where I went every day for lunch after that.
Oh, because there was a Boots in Cannon Park as well.
There was a Boots, yeah. It was sort of in the corner tucked away, but they had the best meal deal. Yeah.
Interesting.
Aaron's like gutted right now that he didn't hustle the system as much as now.
No, because I still made sure like I got like a triple sandwich, which meant I got like an extra sandwich.
Yeah.
And then a smoothie, which was like $2.70. So like I'm basically in profit already. I like the Monster
Well,
Munch choice though already.
I don't think you're in profit for giving money to Tesco, but sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
What flavor Monster Munch? Was there a particular flavor?
Pickled onion.
Pickled onion, yeah.
I think that's the standard flavor, right?
I think roast beef is pretty standard as well.
Roast beef.
But...
I haven't had.
You know what? I recently discovered the Pringles smoky, the Texas smoky barbecue or something.
You just discovered that?
It's vegan.
No, the thing is, I wouldn't eat it because I wasn't sure. Even though it was like veggie, there was something that was always off-putting about. My brother brought it in, and it smelled like smoky barbecue, literally like the smoky barbecue dip. I was like, no way. I had one. I was like, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they're vegan, so like when I did Veganuary, they were a godsend. Like there's a few like really unhealthy things that you can have it like that is vegan. It's absolutely amazing.
Mad. But anyway, moving on. Question number 2. What is one thing you would change in the world?
So this one's an interesting one. So because obviously I'm moving to America, I have a lot of strong opinions about American politics growing. And one of them is just their entire politics system. So the one thing I would like to change in the world is just America in general. I'm going to just do the broad topic of America, particularly their politics and how it seems to be intertwined with religion and just like guns and stuff like that. Like they're just absolute fanatics over there, and it actually scares me a little bit. But that's what I would like to change in the world. I think the world might be a better place. It might be a worse place. Who knows, to be honest. But I think they definitely need to sort something out.
No, I don't mean this in a racist way, but aren't you a little bit safer? Because
you say you don't be racist, but like I often joke about the fact that I will be fine because I'm a well-off white boy.
I was gonna say.
Like if I don't say anything, they'll probably think I'm American because until I speak, they're not going to realize. I could probably put on a fake American accent. Howdy. No, that's really bad. I don't know, but...
We'll get our American advisor on to verify this.
You should listen to an episode we did a couple weeks ago, or a few weeks ago when this comes out, with Tux, lives in New York.
Right.
And he talks about like some American politics and stuff like that.
I've only recently started properly getting into American politics, which is why I've started developing some very strong opinions on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But cool stuff.
Third and final question is, what has been your most memorable third wheeling experience, if any? So this could be whether you've been third wheeled, fifth wheeled, seventh wheeled, or you've been third wheeling, fifth wheeling, seventh
actually third wheeling in real life rather than...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What did you think it meant? The podcast?
So, I meant this talking about you two.
No.
So this was kind of a running thing. But in college, there was a group of us called me, Tom, and Gina. And we all went Blackpool Pleasure Beach at one point, which is a theme park up in Blackpool. It's like sort of one of those seaside ones. It's kind of like, at one point it had like the UK's longest roller coaster or something dumb, but not anymore. But this was a while ago. And I found out like a long time afterwards that Tom initially invited Gina to go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach as a semi-date thing. And then like Gina just offhand invited me as a friend. And didn't realize it was a date. And then she found out like closer to the time after she then told Tom that she invited like me, and she had actually invited a few other people as well, but they said no because like they were busy. But I wasn't busy, so I was like, sure, I'll go. So then I found out, and obviously they didn't tell me. So I was just ended up kind of third wheeling their fun day out.
So wait, did they sit next to each other on the roller coaster, for example?
Yeah, because obviously 3's a really awkward number to go on roller coasters with, right?
I thought that would have been that you sat next to her as well, just to take the...
Nah. But yeah, I genuinely didn't clock onto it. But yeah.
Shout out to Tom.
Yeah, shout out to Tom for having to put up with me. Me and Tom were best friends as well. So like, I think he didn't mind me coming along, but I think it was a bit more annoying that he kind of thought it was a bit of a date.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Next bit's like a little call out. So as you mentioned earlier, just like if there's anyone or any people that you would like to nominate to come on the podcast in the future.
So I think because we've mentioned him a few times, if you want to try and get Big AC on, I think he'd be a really good guest because he's clearly like a bit of an adult though, so it might be difficult.
Little AC and Big AC on the same thing.
But if you genuinely want to try and get some more computer scientists on, I'd say Elvis would probably want to give this a good go.
Okay, yeah.
Because he might have some interesting views about some things, possibly.
So Adam Chester and Elvis.
Sure. If you want to try and get Adam Chester, because he might be quite interesting to get an opinion on the world from.
I could imagine he would be.
I think he recently just became a father.
Oh,
Not bad.
So
congratulations
yeah,
to him
so-
if he's listening.
yeah,
I remember
So-
when Adam Chester is actually minted because
he is minted. Yes.
because he made some serious peas in his come up.
And he owns like a load of property as well. So like he can basically retire at like the age of 37 or whatever he is. He could just retire. He just does head of postgraduate studies as a fun job. That's his fun job.
That's mad.
And that's probably why he's like so chill and he's so like amazing at it, because of the fact that like he just wants to do that. It's not like a career step for him, if that makes sense. He just wants to do it. Most viewed episode. Everyone in the Warwick computer science department will watch it.
Oh my days. Could you imagine the legal stuff that's going to coming down on us?
That could be the one where we go to computer science to record it. Maybe.
Oh my
Yeah.
days. Like, imagine that. Imagine he's episode 100, Aaron, because they're approaching the big 100 and 102. The final bit is now a shout out. So this is basically where you can like promote, shout out anything you want.
I will shout out the TV show The Expanse. Not enough people are watching that show on Amazon Prime, and they should. It is the best sci-fi opera that probably not has ever existed, because Star Trek is a thing, but it's definitely the best one within, I'd say, my lifetime. And I've watched like Stargate Atlantis and Stargate SG-1 and like all of those, and even the new Star Trek. But like this one really takes the cake, and I really enjoy it.
I've
cannot
had
wait
it
for the-
like on my watch list for some time, but I've never
It's
gone
reaching
for
the point where it's actually going to finish. I think the next season's the final one, and I think they're talking about possibly doing 3 movies afterwards. Because it's obviously all the books are written. Oh, the final book coming out the end of this year, I think. So it's gonna be finished, and it's actually going to be good, unlike Game of Thrones.
Since you said a TV series, I'm going to say a TV series, also on Amazon Prime. So I'm not like a massive cricket fan or anything, but I watched this like a docuseries on the Australian cricket team called The Test on Amazon Prime. And I just got really into cricket for some reason. And it's led by my guy, Tim Payne, Australian captain, Justin Langer, the coach. Says mate a lot in it, but shout out to him. But yeah, I found it really interesting. So yeah, go check that out if you're interested.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out an EP by our friend Loki called Awake. Should have released by the time this is out. Then I'm going to shout out a few other songs. Dimension by J5 Skepta. There's a new Tiny Temper song. Bugsy Malone, Emily Sondé. I don't know how you pronounce her name. Welcome to the Hood. There's Rackstar Chemistry, P Money this year. Yeah, so those are the ones I'll give a shout. I'll put it on the playlist. And yeah, check out our Twitch if you haven't already. Hopefully it's funny. Hopefully it gets views. And if by the time this is released, if the gaming channel is out by the 3rd wheel, then check out that, subscribe, follow us on Twitch. And yeah, Sunday evenings is the scheduled time to stream, but there may be a few odd streams here and there. On that note, it was a nice episode. It was a nice catch up with you, Marcus, as well.
Thanks, as pleasure to be on, to be honest.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
So yeah, have a good day, everyone. See you in a bit. Bye.
All right, see you
Bye.
guys.